Hi, I'm Ernie.
And I'm Ben.
And this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Ben, welcome to another episode.
Thanks.
It's beautiful and sunny and warm here in Wisconsin. I think it's the same where you are at.
Yes, as of this recording, it is. We're looking at highs of 75. It's lovely. Gonna get a little colder later this week, but I'm enjoying the beginning of spring here. And we thought
spring is on our minds.
Yeah, and we thought it'd be cool to talk about. Okay, we're thinking springtime. We all kind of start to open up a little bit, especially after this winter. And we think about cleaning the house and making things nice and fresh and happy. And we thought about maybe some ways we could do some spring cleaning on our budgets. So that's what we're talking about today.
And this is cleaning, quote unquote, that we actually want to do. We're budget nerds. We love getting in there and just monkeying with the budget. So
it's just fun.
This will be fun.
So yeah, if you guys are bored waiting for your next paycheck to come in so you can budget some money and play with your budget, we got some ideas for you on some ways you can get in there before that. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So the first idea we had actually came to us because of a new feature that has recently been added to YNAB. It's a little bit on the back end though. You might not have noticed it, but it is a new flow for what happens when you delete a category. And it's really cool because we used to have some problems with that.
Yeah, it would absolutely wreck your budget.
Yeah.
But now it's beautiful.
I mean, we always just say, if you have any transactions associated with a category, usually it's just best to hide it. And otherwise it kind of create a problem because we didn't have a good way of kind of merging categories. Basically, when you hit delete on a category, YNAB would ask you to recategorize all those transactions associated with that. And you could do that, and that's good. But then it kind of created problems because you'd end up with a bunch of overspending in your budget and all that stuff. But we fixed it. It's much better now. We have a new flow for deleting your categories. And the big difference is now when you delete a category, YNAB will ask you to merge it with another category. And instead of just recategorizing those transactions, it'll actually go back in time and re-budget all the money too. So it's like a proper merging categories thing now.
Merges the transactions, merges the budgeting. It's beautiful.
Exactly. And so this is an opportunity for us nerds because I bet a lot of us have a bunch of hidden categories that are just kind of down there, just not really doing anything. You could unhide those and actually delete them and properly merge them with categories. So
yeah,
I'm planning on doing
some. With the old workflow, I could never do this during the middle of the year because, I do that annual fresh start on January 1st. And I just had to wait with a category until I got to that fresh start. And then I could delete it. But now I can go to town at any point. Start deleting categories.
Because the transactions and the budgeting will be taken care of. So you won't have any overspending or any craziness. It'll just merge very nicely. So we're pretty excited about this. And I think a lot of people, when we talked at the beginning of the year about how you do your fresh start at the beginning of the year. And you go and you delete hidden categories and all that wish farm stuff and things like that. And a lot of people were like, oh, I really like the idea of cleaning up my categories, but I don't want to do a fresh start. Well, now you kind of have the best of both worlds. You can clean up those categories by merging them with that delete category feature, but you don't have to do a fresh start. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I think everyone's going to like this quite a bit.
Yeah. And it's especially good I know there's probably a lot of wish farmers out there. We'll put a link in the description to talk about what the wish farm is, but essentially it's just a kind of a mechanism, a way of saving for smaller things or just things that you want by creating a separate category for it. And usually what we told folks was save in like a specific category. So if you're saving for like a new phone, you create like a new phone category. And usually what we told folks is save in that new phone category. But before you actually spend the money, move the money to a broader category, like a in that example, I would move it to my technology category and spend the money there, right?
Yep.
And that was to avoid having this hidden category that is just kind of sitting there. But now that you can move the transaction and move the budgeting, you could just put the transaction and all the budgeting into that, that new phone category or whatever that wish farm thing is for you. And then when you're done with it completely, you can just delete it and merge it then with the broader category. And so it's really nice.
Yeah.
What's the next one, Ernie? Yeah.
We're talking about looking at the average spent. So over in the quick budget options, we have that little average spent button, which is calculating the average amount that you've spent in that category or categories over the last 12 months. So now would be a great time to just, okay, what's the goal on the category, and see if that is aligning with your average spend. So this is just an opportunity to kind of bring the budget back to reality, right? Okay, I've wanted to spend $500 a month in groceries, but it looks like I'm spending $550.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you can look at that little quick budget button, or if you want to even go further back, you could look at the reports, and you could look at the average spending over the past however long you want. Usually I actually usually just rely on that quick budget button though, because
that's all I do.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think if you go further than 12 months back, sometimes you get some data that might not be relevant to you now, especially if you have like a really old budget, and you've been sticking with that one budget file for a long time. So I kind of like to stick with that. Or when I run a report, I kind of limit it to 12 months or something like that. But yeah, I do this all the time. It's very revealing how much I move money from some categories,
And this is something I just need to be real about with our household category. This is the one where we spend, toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, stuff like that. And it's like double what our goal is. and I've just been like ignoring it every single month, but now I just got to walk into it with eyes wide open and actually embrace that. Wow, we're spending a ton here.
Yeah.
And realign that goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So just click on the category, look at the average spent. That's 12-month rolling average there. Compare that to your goal target. And if you're spending more than you typically budget in that category, maybe consider upping that a little bit and taking money from some other categories just to be more honest with yourself. Or maybe you go the other direction and you're like, wow, like we are very consistently spending, less than we typically budget, and we're moving money from that category. Maybe you can kind of adjust there and be a little more honest with your budget. I think it's helpful.
All right, number 3, Ben, what do we have here?
Clean up all those old dang payees that are so annoying, right? Especially those like ugly imported payees that you might have floating around in your budget. I mean, Ernie, you do this every year with your fresh start, right?
I love it. And when I mention it to people, a lot of them are often surprised that, oh, you can even do that. So budget nerds, dig into those payees.
If I had to think of one feature in the budget that is the nerdiest feature, it's probably the manage payees button. that whole thing. Just because most people probably don't really care too much, because of all the data that you put into on your transaction, like it's all important, right? But payee is probably the least important to as far as categories. Obviously probably the most important, date and amount. I mean, it all matters, but the payee isn't so important. So a lot of people just let those imported payees do it, or they might not think about it a whole lot. But us nerds, we got to get in there. We got to get it all right. So, and
I use a combination of direct import and entering transactions myself, and so it's not uncommon to have 3 different gas stations, all the same gas station, but it just comes in 3 different ways, and I hate that.
So it's like the same brand gas station, but
right? It'll be Quick Trip, the one that I entered, a Quick Trip store number 125, Quick Trip store number 256. I combine them all, and then it's just one simple Quick Trip.
Well, I've been slowly trying to find ways to combine all the gas stations, because I don't really care how much money I spend at the Sheetz gas station for gas, I mean, if I'm going in,
whatever
getting
Sheets is.
food or something, then that does matter, right? I do have a Sheets Payee, but if I'm just like buying gas, like who cares? Or if I'm going to the Citgo, or I'm going to the Quick Trip, or whatever it is, I don't really care what brand gas station I'm spending the money on. So I was thinking about just having a payee called gas station, just like a generic gas station payee, and just using that for all the gas stations. Just
you can do that, Ben. Do that during your budgeting spring cleaning.
I think I might. It's just, I think there's a lot of things like that. Like I was talking to you, Ernie, about, sometimes like you go on a trip or something and you go to some random store and spend some money there, and you're never going to go back to that store ever again. And so I have this payee with one transaction sitting in there, and it's really not a big deal. Like, it's fine. It's just annoying to me, like I'm never going to use this payee, and it shows up on the list when I'm like searching a payee, and it's just like, ugh.
And I delete those when I do my fresh start. But obviously, if you're not doing a fresh start, you don't want to delete those because the transaction needs that payee.
Totally. Yeah. I wonder if there's some way maybe like to have a catch-all or something for that. You know me, I'm always like trying to find ways to combine. I'm always trying to find ways to combine categories and, and optimize that way. So that's one thing I think about. But yeah, just go through, if you really, really want to dig in and get really nerdy, you can go through your managed payees and delete anything you're not using. So I have a lot of payees that have no transactions associated with. I don't even know how that happened. Or those like ugly imported payees, combine those with others and make it nice and clean and fresh.
So that's so satisfying. All right. The other one we got here is simplifying account structure. Okay. So this could be consolidating savings accounts, right? Because you got a savings account for Christmas, emergency, car repairs, whatever. And you're like, well, I don't really need these anymore because the budget's keeping track of what my dollars are doing for me, not my accounts. Exactly. So you can close out all those, merge it into one savings account.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
at YNAB, we're trying to spend as much time as we can focusing on what's important, like the purpose of our money, and thinking about our priorities and what matters to us. And if you have like all these accounts in real life accounts out there in the world, you have to worry about transfers and you have to worry about account balances, and you just do more bookkeeping, and it just, I think that takes our focus away from really thinking about the purpose of our money, which is really what we're after. So anyway, you can cut back on the number of accounts. I think it's a good thing. And
those accounts did serve a purpose, at least for me at one point. Like, they helped me organize my dollars. But then once I found YNAB, then I finally realized, it's the budget that helps me organize my dollars. And so I don't need this account structure.
Totally. So I think it's a good idea, maybe like every once in a while, to kind of just like let go of one of those accounts and close it in real life at the bank, close it in YNAB. Because I think it took me a while to consolidate down to where I'm at now, where I just have one checking account, and that's the only thing I use for spending at all. And I don't even have a savings account. I just keep it all in checking because I got like a little high yield checking account.
Man, impressive.
And, I mean, it's awesome. I love it. But it took me a while to get there, because really you have to learn to trust the budget and realize that the budget's going to keep track of the purpose of your money, not all these separate savings accounts. And also kind of trust yourself to look at the category available amounts to guide your spending instead of your account balance, right?
Yep.
And so it takes people a little while to really build that trust and start closing accounts. So maybe every once in a while, just reassess it. I think that's really what it's at.
And the other side of this too is not just savings accounts, right? You could also take a look at, and this doesn't apply to you, I know you don't use credit cards, but take a look at the credit cards, and are there any credit cards we can close? I mean, boy, there's probably 3 cards my wife and I
open that card at Kohl's, and you open that card at Target, or and it's just like, might as well, and if you're not using them, maybe consider closing some of those, or just just cleaning up and making sure what you're using, what you're not using. It can help with preventing fraud and all that sort of stuff too. So there's a lot there.
I just like having that clean budget, the simplified budget. I don't know. And so anytime I can close an account, it makes me feel better.
Yeah. I mean, the way I think of it is your attention is a resource that can be used up. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you're paying a lot of attention to managing all these different credit cards and all these different checking accounts and all these different savings accounts, and you're not going to have as much of a resource to pay attention to the purpose of your money. That's what we're after. So that's good. All right, lightning round. We got how many more? We got 6 more ideas for you guys, and these are quick, so we're gonna run through them kind of quick. What's the first one there, Ernie?
Update notes. So you can go into those notes on categories, those notes on your accounts if you use those, and maybe they're from 3 years ago. You can delete them or update them.
That's me. I'll have like a note that says, "Oh, I moved money from this category to this category like 3 years ago," right? And it's like, I don't need that in here anymore.
That's the thing. I know I added category notes, but I never went back and looked at them again, I'm sure. So I should go and look for some.
Yeah. So update those notes. That'd be a good thing. Another one is update your category names. Maybe you can find ways to describe what you're spending your money on a little more closely. Like, do you have any examples of this, Ernie? I mean, I know you recently updated. You added something, a little color to your budget, right?
I added emojis.
Ernie added emojis. Can you believe it?
Now tone it down. I didn't go crazy here. Okay. I put emojis on the groups because remember, in the previous video, I mentioned trying emojis on the categories, and that was just overwhelming.
You were kind of a curmudgeon about it a little bit.
I was, yeah.
I get it. I get it. Like, it might make things look a little cluttered or whatever, but
putting it on my groups, because I have 6 or 7 groups, it just I don't know. They look beautiful. They just pop when I'm in the budget. I love them.
Yeah, it adds a little fun to it. So yeah, maybe change up your emojis or add some emojis to your categories. See if you like it. Just, or maybe you can even find some ways to combine some categories too. Like I'm always looking for ways to have fewer categories and combine them. Probably too much, probably to my detriment sometimes, but that's a whole other episode right there. Another one, reset your flags on your transactions. That's another good one. Like, if you're using flags for different things, maybe reconsider how you're using those. I know I myself, I used flags I tried to use flags for anything that was tax related, but I didn't really keep up with it. And so, recently I just took all the flags off. I just searched it and took them off because it wasn't really relevant anymore. So you might do something like that, or maybe go through some transactions and find some ways to flag them so you can search them up easier in the future. There's lots of things you can do there.
There we go. The other one, go through your true expenses, look at what that category balance is, and see maybe if it's too much and you need to reprioritize some of those dollars, right? Maybe you've gotten really lucky with the car repair, the auto maintenance category, and it's like
not gonna lie there,
way up there.
Going through, and if you're real nerdy, I mean, you've probably been saving for true expenses and stuff, and maybe you've just gotten lucky, and like you said, like you haven't had a car repair for a while, and you're like, whoa, I got I don't know, I don't want to say an amount because it's different for everybody, but you got thousands of dollars in that category or something crazy like that, and you're like, well, maybe I can use that money for something else, right? Think about how long it's been since you've needed money in that category, and maybe do a little analysis there.
There we go. Last one.
Oh, delete some wish list categories. So if you're using the wish farm method, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, where you're really actively saving up for 3 things at a time, a lot of people use what they call a wish list, which is like a category group that just has. It's just kind of a dumping place where you put any ideas for things that you might want to save for in the future. You just put them in there, and they just kind of sit there until you're ready to actually move them up into the wish farm and start saving for them. And I have found sometimes I'll put things on the wish list, and then later on I'm like, I really don't care about that at all. Right. Or it's been sitting there for like 2 years and it hasn't attracted any money at all, and so clearly I don't care about it. Yeah, just delete those and get rid of them. So that's another good idea.
In my fresh start, I ended up deleting every wish farm category. So
you just got rid of the whole wish list. Yeah. I find sometimes it's almost a little annoying, just having, me again, I'm all about combining categories. So it's almost a little annoying to have this whole wish list when I almost want to try to focus it down a little bit. Maybe I should even delete the whole thing. I don't know, and like make decisions in the moment. But yeah, that's a good way to simplify and clean up things a little bit. Cool.
And that's it. Those are the spring cleaning ideas we have for the budget. What do you have? What did we forget? Let us know in the comments section. Definitely.
Yeah. What do you guys do when you just want to get nerdy and you want to optimize your budget just a little bit more? What's something that you do? I'd love to hear it. And we'll be sure to respond to those comments.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Ben.
All right. That's been fun, y'all. We'll talk to you later. Enjoy the springtime.
Happy budgeting.
Happy budgeting, y'all. See ya. Cool.